Affirmations, scripting, vision boards, meditation. You've done it all, but gone full circle right back to where you started. Manifestation seems to work for everyone but you. I pondered this situation because it was personally happening to me. I dedicated decades of my life to personal development. I was learning a lot with little to show for it. It wasn't until I discovered that pairing personal development and inner work will get you results that I started to get the results I was looking for. The things that took me decades to achieve, I did it in 1 month in health, career, and relationships. Unless you do inner work paired with personal development, you will be trapped in the rat race called personal development. There are 2 reasons people get stuck in this rat race. 1, they're not dealing with the root cause, and 2, there's the illusion of action. You watch many videos, you read many books, but you don't put any of those actions into your life. So the inner work that I did that transformed my personal development results and my manifesting results was shadow work. Shadow work is the exploration of those hidden unconscious parts of ourselves. It was coined by the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. He stated that unless we make the unconscious conscious, it will drive our lives and we will call it fate. So many people are unaware of the shadows that are driving their life. The shadow parts of ourselves involve those parts that we suppress, we reject, and we deny because they do not conform with societal expectations or the image we have of ourselves. I personally grew up in an African household, and the discipline that was primarily used not only in my home but in schools was corporal punishment. This immediately taught me how to suppress my emotions. It wasn't until I started doing deep inner work and discovering what was hiding behind that shadow that I got the massive results that I wanted. The shadow hides a lot of things that we're not aware of. Unresolved traumas, fears, unfulfilled desires, and past hurts, all hidden in the shadow because they did not have an outlet. And unless we learn how to deal with the shadow, we will constantly face harmful behavior such as emotional outbursts. You will face things like limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, unhealthy relationships. So it is very vital that we start to do shadow work and integrate our shadow so that we accept all parts of ourselves so it doesn't have to sneak around. I personally found that shadow work was so important for me because I was a believer in the law of attraction and in staying positive. The problem with that is a tendency to ignore any negative thing that happened. And in doing so, I was bandaging a festering wound. Trying to manifest and go after your dreams and goals and do the tricks without cleaning and cleansing that wound first is like putting a band-aid on a festering wound. To start the healing process, you have to clean and unearth the germs that are in that wound before you patch it up. The great thing about the way I do shadow work is that you can do it while you pursue your goals. You don't have to stop everything and deep dive into all the past hurts, all the past trauma, because it's actually difficult. But if you can, but day by day, little by little, tackle this shadow side and start integrating it slowly and surely and steadily, over time, you will see that you're more grounded and more stable. When I started doing shadow work, I lost the 10 pounds that I had been gaining and losing for the past 10 years. A decade of losing the same 3 kilograms or 10 pounds because of a small limiting belief. Where I grew up, our early childhood education wanted to educate us about certain diseases. And so when I was looking at the symptoms as a child, the first thing that would always show they would always show in the pictures is somebody losing weight. At that time, people were not well informed about such diseases, and the first thing they would advertise is people looking skinny and emaciated. Another thing, in an African household, if you lose weight, no matter if you're overweight or not, people start to think that you're unwell. So I started to associate weight loss with illness. So whenever I would lose even a small amount of weight, immediately I would face concern from my own family members. And who would want to face that situation? I felt so afraid because my subconscious mind, the shadow, thought that if I lost weight, then it meant that I was sick. And I didn't want to be sick, so I would lose the weight, feel uncomfortable, and then the unconscious mind, the shadow, will start sending messages. Hey, why don't you eat that cookie? Get the best high-calorie food you want. It's so tasty, you want it. And I would think that, maybe I just love sugary snacks, sugary treats, or maybe I just want to eat something more high calorie. Let me just indulge. And then I would indulge until I gained the weight. But the problem was that it wasn't the diet. It was the limiting belief that I had that equated weight loss with illness. Until I dealt with that part in the shadow and confronted and learned that weight loss does not always mean that the person is ill. I can lose weight in a healthy way. Then I actually lost the weight and kept it off. And I kid you not, that voice still comes up a little bit. It will tell me sometimes, hey, you don't look too good. I went to visit a friend of mine and I had lost the 10 pounds and I am very healthy. I checked at the doctors, everything is well. And literally my BMI is perfect, okay? So she saw me and immediately she asked, are you okay? You've lost so much weight. Oh my gosh. She'd not seen me for like a few months. And immediately my first reaction was, I need to eat something very high calorie right now. I cannot have people thinking I'm sick. And then I caught myself because I've done the work. Shadow work is really, really important for emotional healing. You're only as unbothered as your triggers. And if you don't know your triggers, the minute you're brought into that situation, there goes your peace. So it's important to tackle and know those things that trigger us and why. When you delve into it, then you will have emotional healing. Then you can release the parts of you that you didn't know were hurt, that were hiding, that you couldn't even express. Because as a child, you were not given that space to just express yourself. The second most important thing about shadow work is the greater self-awareness. Most people are not aware that there's a shadow side that they have that's more or less running the show. The voice is so silent you can barely hear what it's saying. But before you even hear it, you've already done the thing. I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule. And that's the thing, trying, because I've not been doing a very good job at it. Sometimes, like I'll do 4 days in a row, I'm sleeping on time, ready to go. Then one day, such a silent voice, I didn't even hear it, will be like, it's okay. You slept well the past 3 days. This show is so interesting. It's such it's a feeling that is so natural that you find yourself doing what you decided against. So when you have that awareness of that shadow and you know that it's not you, you don't identify with those thoughts, it's very easy to notice and change the direction of your actions. Now, doing shadow work will also lead to healthier relationships because at the end of the day, suppressed emotions need an outlet. It's like a pressure cooker, it has a small hole, and after some time it releases a lot of air. That's you. You're suppressing your emotions and they'll need an outlet. So that can result in you having emotional outbursts because that's the straw that broke the camel's back. They're pissing you off. You've been holding it in. You've been acting like it doesn't matter. Next thing you know, you're breaking down in the office crying. I'm saying this because this has happened to me. I was on the phone. I was like fine. Next thing I know, I'm crying. And I was so surprised at myself because I've been doing inner work for a while and I didn't expect that to happen. But of course, I worked through it. Okay? So when you suppress emotions, the shadow will find a way to release those emotions. It'll find a way. And the thing is, if you've not done the inner work, it might not be a way that you want to express those emotions and may cause harm to others or hurt other people's feelings. But if you do the shadow work, then you're more grounded, you're more calm. You can tell your trigger is coming by a mile away and you can remove yourself from the situation, or you can have the capacity to hold that information. So how do we do shadow work? The first thing I'm going to talk about is somatic therapy. When you have these emotions, you shouldn't ignore them. You shouldn't lash out. Feel them. Feel where they are in your body. I'll give you an example. I still get butterflies in my stomach when I'm about to address the court. Not as bad as I used to in the beginning, but I still do. It wasn't until I started to do shadow work and somatic therapy and feeling that feeling in my stomach when I'm about to address the court and that tightness in my chest that I started to release it, to be more confident, because I saw it coming a mile away. I would sit with it in my body and feel the jitters. Why do I feel so, that feeling in my stomach? It's like adrenaline right before I address the court. It wasn't until I started dealing with it that things changed. Last year, somebody came and approached me and told me they saw me in court looking so nervous before the judge. And it wasn't until I worked through it, I worked through the fact that, yeah, I have this part of me, these thoughts that exist, I call them the chaotic perfectionist. That part of me will catastrophize that one little mistake will ruin my whole career. Like, that's the thoughts that will be ruminating at that time. So the butterflies in my stomach is just that side of me telling me, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna mess up. Oh no, oh no, oh no. It's like making a whole dramatic tantrum. I was watching a video and somebody said, if your mind was a person, that person would need to be committed into a mental institution. Because can you imagine? That side of me is right there and it's like, oh no, oh no, no, you're gonna ruin it, you're gonna ruin it. And I haven't even addressed the court yet. And even if I make a mistake, it's like, oh no, you're gonna be thrown out, your whole career, everybody's gonna laugh at you. And then after the whole session it's done, it's quiet, it's like, oh, you actually did it. So cool, nice. And then the next thing, they're starting their tantrum again. It's like a crazy person. So learning the feelings in your body is so liberating. You sit with them and then after some time you'll notice they leave. Thinking about it doesn't necessarily help. That's why I used to think about how confident I want to be and it didn't help. Once I started feeling the emotions, letting them sit there, releasing them, the emotions that were stuck in my body are leaving slowly and surely. The second thing is journaling. Journaling is so important. You can journal on your book. You can think about it first and then journal, which is something I like to do. There's an affirmation manifestation e-journal linked below. How I use it is this way. Let's say the meditation or affirmation for today is that I have an absolutely gorgeous life and God, please show me how good it can get. That is the affirmation, right? So what I'll do with that affirmation is I'll sit there with it again, using the first step, the somatic therapy, and I'll feel it in my body. What do I feel about this? First of all, that affirmation makes me feel really, really good. I feel like some nice feelings in my body. And then, but after some time, some thoughts come up. Like, I could never use that sentence in a conversation. People will think that I live in my own world. Am I allowed to feel that my life is gorgeous and fantastic? What about it is? So I'll start to work through those small thoughts, whether they're negative, whether they're positive, and work through the ones that are limiting. if it comes up, I address it. And when you start to address it, you start to integrate that affirmation more. This is why affirmations don't work for people, because they're band-aiding it. They're not dealing with the doubts that they have. Your mind isn't stupid. It's going to keep bringing up those doubts. And now the doubt and the affirmation, they both cannot stay. So you're stuck at a standstill. So work through it. Do that kind of shadow work, and you'll notice a big difference almost immediately. You'll feel more grounded and at ease. And then the last thing I'll talk about is inner child work. As a bonus in the affirmation manifestation journal, guys, it's really affordable. There is a meditation, an inner child work meditation. That's the meditation I did to work through some of my childhood little traumas, big traumas, depending on the person. Really, I worked through it, feeling abandoned, feeling neglected, feeling different from other kids. This is the meditation that I used. I would like go back, and my adult self is watching the situation, and then I would embrace that child, surround them with a shield of warmth, and just accepting energy that I wanted to feel at that time, and work through that inner work. And over time, I noticed that the things that would trigger me because of my childhood changed completely. Are you ready to accept all of yourself, including the shadow? Comment in the description, I am worthy, I am enough, I am deserving, with a heart. See you next one. Bye.